Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Episode 7, The Eye. And I mean, there's really only one eye worth talking about in Lord of the Rings, right? Um, this episode was directed by Charlotte Brandstorm, written by John D. Payne and Patrick McKay, based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. In this episode, we have a few storylines going on. Durin is torn between friendship and duty. Survivors of a cataclysm try and find safety. The Harfoots confront evil, and Adar considers a new name. That's such a weird thing to include in the synopsis. Anyways, let's talk about. I'll talk about the cast as I talk about their stories. How about I think that should be the best way. So to me, the main story on this one is it includes Elrond and Prince Dorian of the dwarves. So we have Robert Armayo as Elrond and Owain Arthu as Prince Durin the Fourth. So we know that the elves need the help of the dwarves, and they their relationship between the two of them is so weird because we have these two friends in Elrond and Durin, but their societies have been so closed off in a way and independent that they don't want to rely upon each other. Now the elves, I guess, being that they are immortal beings, that for them the timeline's a lot different. They see this as a necessary thing to do because otherwise, the elves will be, the race will end. But the dwarves, like they're very centered. Specifically, the king, he's very much focused on their own and not really helping others. So that's a really interesting. I mean, obviously, it's interesting commentary, but also just in the story, like I really like how Durin is kind of torn between those two worlds. Um, Next, let's talk about the Cataclysm. So yeah, last week there was a big boom, uh, and we're seeing all the aftermath after that. This is probably where some of the most incredible visuals happen, because we have this fog of this volcano, this mount, just like being kind of overtaking everything. So the Southlands have definitely changed. There's a really cool thing. This episode gets really exciting towards the end of it, uh, but overall, like really enjoyed it. It was a little bit. This one definitely was a lot more slow paced because everything was just like how our character's gonna move forward to the next stuff. But then at the end of the episode, it really kicks up to the next gear, which should be, and I believe the next episode is the last one, so I can see why we're doing that. But yeah, there's a lot going on. So in this one, uh, we have Morford Clark as Galadriel. We also see Ismael Cruz Cordova as Arendir, and then of course we have Cynthia Adai Robinson as Queen Regent Mariel, Lloyd Owen as Captain Ellendale, and Charlie Vickers as Halbrand. So yeah, this one deals with all the fallout from that, and no pun intended. And yeah, we everyone's kind of splintered off, and you kind of see really the horrors that can come from a natural disaster. Which, even though this is not really a natural disaster, it feels like that, which is really interesting to see in Middle Earth. And like I said, the visuals are great. And then you also get pairings of characters that you probably wouldn't normally see. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens here. I think this is where most of the stuff really happens. Also, this is where we also have the orcs have kind of succeeded. Hadar has kind of succeeded in his quest. So we'll see what the fallout from that is as well. Last but definitely not least, we have the Harfoots confronting evil. So I've really been enjoying this story because so this one is kind of diametrically opposed to the elves and the dwarf story, right? Because in this one we have the Harfoot, who are a closed off society, but now they've kind of embraced this stranger, or they like little by little they begin to embrace this stranger, even though that may mean peril for them. So it's really interesting to see both stories playing out parallel to each other, but going in such different. Well, I guess they're not going parallel; they're going in different directions. But but yeah, it's really interesting. I like the Harfoots a lot. I think it's always really neat to kind of see because they're supposed to be smaller, right? That's always very neat to see. And then the stranger, like we still don't know much about him. Like we know that he definitely has some kind of magic powers within him. He's being hunted down by something that's really dangerous, and that might come to be that might come to hurt the Harfoots if they kind of keep on that same path. Um, so yeah, we see some really interesting stuff there. But I really like the portrayal of the stranger, and I forgot to get the actor's name. But every time they emote, because they don't really talk a lot, right? It's mostly non-verbal communication. Uh, that's a heavy load to lift, but I think they're really good. So I'm really excited to see more of that story. I think next week we'll definitely get a lot more of that, because we know that whatever this group is that is pursuing this stranger, that they may finally come to a front. So I'm very excited. Like I said, towards the end of the episode, we get some really interesting stuff that happens. I'm sure you'll see gifs and stuff on social media, but I won't spoil anything for that. Just know that I'm really enjoying the show. I think overall, the first 7 episodes, my only complaint is that at some points the pacing gets very slow. Like it almost feels like we halt to a stop, to kind of pivot in a different directions, and it feels a little jarring. But other than that, I've loved the visuals. This show looks incredible. I think the performances have been great overall, and the stories. Maybe they could have been arranged in a little, like there's been some times where we don't even see a story for one episode. So like, how are we supposed to know which ones are important, or like, kind of follow that thread? It's really hard with every, like, there's a lot happening in the show at the same time. So but I guess that's kind of what you sign up for when you do Lord of the Rings stuff. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Go check out also our review of Werewolf by Midnight, the Marvel special presentation. And we also have some trailer reactions from some stuff that happened over the week, a bunch of comic reviews, and come see us at our live where we kind of catch up and talk about all the things we've been doing this week. So, as always, thanks for watching, everyone.